we see right here. Good evening. Another one. Let me just make sure, see if people join the chat, and I'll put the link out here. Ahora vamos a ponerlo. El live. See exactly how many people can join, and if you join, we'll see if we can have some questions on the match that ended 0-0. One person in, 38 seconds in. Real quick, depending on whoever joins, if someone actually does join, and if the audio is working out nicely, then we'll see. But quick conclusion: 0-0. Of course, one of those friendlies where you didn't want to see any injuries, and I think that is probably the big win. And I think that was something that we sort of mentioned a lot before the match even happened and whatnot. But this game was important for players like Ayala, I think, Guti. I really like Guti on the left in that 4-3-3. I liked Edson, his ability to move from right back to central defensive midfielder. Also, what I saw from Achache was superb. I think Achache, that's kind of the what you want to see from a player like Hector Herrera, with that the creativity, and also the leadership, knowing pretty darn well the leadership, what he has to do, and whatnot. So I think that was kind of important, really, to check out with that Chache. But here with what I saw exactly, was knowing who's gonna step up, who's gonna be that player that's gonna make that last run and be on the list. One of the things that I've been thinking a lot in the last weeks is Guti, and a lot of people say, well, how does Guti get into the mix right at the end of everything? Well, I think he gets into the mix because of his ability to play with on that left side of the midfield and play it so well, and having that backup to Guardado, who's coming off this injury that doesn't look that serious, but still he had to go to the surgery room, and you really don't know what's going to happen there. If it's going to be, if it's going to be something that can hurt him in the World Cup, you want to have your best available there, and I think having Guti as that sub for Guardado, I think it's important. But many have Guti out of the final 23, but I think in today's game, he made a lot of moves to put in consideration his presence in Russia, and I think that was something of the main things to see. But like I said on the beginning, here on the chat, hopefully we have some questions or thoughts about the game. I'm reading also thoughts on Twitter right now, exactly what people are saying. I mean, some people are saying that it was a waste of time. Of course, a goal would have been nice, one or two, considering that more than 80,000 fans went to the Rose Bowl Stadium. But I think you also have to consider the implications, before a World Cup, that you don't want to have those injuries. You don't want to put certain players in certain situations that might cause them to injure themselves. But like I said in the beginning of this one, I mean, I really like what Guti offered. I like what Edson Alvarez offered. I liked what Tegatito offered as well in that first half. I think Tegatito was, the player that was providing that sort of magic or inspiration to the team in general. And I think that is something to note. I'm doing this Enrique says saludos. So, I mean, hopefully we're seeing some people here that are joining, and that's good. At the end of the day, what I want is for you to ask questions, because if you don't ask, or you don't put thoughts here on the chat, then it's going to be pretty pointless to do this one. Churro says, man, this game was really frustrating to watch, says Churro. Frustrating in the sense that perhaps, Dama's right back is not the most enticing thing to see. and I understand that. But to see the development of the play, I think the structure of the team was really important, and I think that was one of the high notes to see the structure. IBNB10 says, "Good to see you again. I really appreciate it. Good to be back and chatting about the game, a little bit about the Mexican game here with y'all, and you being more, the important part of this. What do you think about the initial lineup? The initial lineup, like I said, I really like what the Gatito offered, what Guti offered, what Edson offered. I think that was something to note. As Molina also as that central defensive midfielder, it's a reliability. Even if he's not shining that much, it's a reliability than perhaps even Rafa Marquez. Because when you take Rafa Marquez to the World Cup, you assume that he's going to be healthy. But what he showed in Atlas last games of the season, it wasn't the most bright Rafa Marquez. I think Rafa wasn't really at his best this last season with Atlas. And I think that's the main doubt heading to the World Cup. There's other issues in Rafa's life that could prevent him from giving a good show in the World Cup. I understand the leadership aspect, but, you want reliability on the positions. If you don't have reliability on the positions, then it's going to be a really tough World Cup for Mexico to open against Germany. Then you go against Korea and then Sweden, and I think that is something to note. You want reliability. And of course, now you have these injuries that have been happening. Of course, that Araujo, the most serious, that put questions there. What do you think about Mexico's back line? Says Enrique. Give it more. We have to sort of note a little bit exactly how he intends to play, how Osorio intends to play. If it's going to be a 4-3-3, if it's going to be a 3-4-3. I think a back line of three center backs is needed at times for El Tri, just to have some sort of balance in the defensive end. I think Salcedo, by what he has shown in the last weeks, it will be more of an important asset for El Tri as a center back. I don't want to see him as a right back. I think as a right back, you're really wasting a little bit what he can provide to you in the central defense, whether that's with Moreno, whether that's with Reyes, or whatever combination it is. But I think Salcedo is a footballer that should play more as a center back instead of the right back. I think as a right back, Edson Alvarez might raise his hand up. Let's not forget that Layun can play either as a right back or a left back. So I think that's also other things to note. Ángel Martínez says, saludos, Nayib. Gracias, Ángel. Saludos. Thanks for watching. Ralph, how about Chicharito starting position or possible having a new forward, says Ralph. Look, Chicharito, I don't know if Chicharito is going to be your striker when he kind of struggles with the ball. Today I did see some struggle with the ball with Chicharito when he had to move back to receive the ball and start the play. I think Raul Jimenez is better in that kind of role. Peralta is also a little bit better. But then at the end of the day, I think the ball has to be taken to Chicharito. And that's where players like Guardado are influential in taking the ball to Chicharo. Also, what can be produced from the wings. The wings are going to be important in the Osorio area. If something has been so consistent in the Osorio area, is how the wings work, how Tecatito works, how Chucky works, how Vela works from the right, cutting to the center with his left. I think all those notes are important, and that's when the offense has to go to Chicharo. I think when Vela and Chicharo are in the 11, I see a better Chicharo. When Vela's not in the 11, I see Chicharo struggling a bit. But we'll have to see exactly what Osorio wants depending on the opponent that's there. MB23, Ayala was shaky in the beginning. I would hate to see him start against the Germans. I don't think Ayala starts. I think Ayala is more, and we don't even know if Ayala will be in the World Cup. Of course, you have to think that Ayala and Alanis are battling for that Araujo spot in the final list, I think. Churro, Wells weren't helping with their boring style of play, but I think it was an excellent style of play for Mexico. It's this difficult type of style to break down, really, really tight in the back. Unfortunately, with Williams getting injured in the first half, there's a player that is top defender at times, and I think that kind of dragged a little bit the sense of the style. But Wells, it's a team that has a strong back line. It makes it tough for the teams to develop play. And I think El Tri developed a lot of plays, even with They did all these substitutions when Fabian and Giovanni and Jonah were on the field, but the ball just didn't want to go in, and that last pass wasn't that as good as it should be with El Tri. Who goes, Ayala or Alanis? It will go down to what exactly Osorio wants. Alanis, it gives you that a possibility to have another left-footed center back. And I think that is kind of the advantage that Alanis has at the moment. But we'll see exactly how everything plays out. I think Ayala is a center back that also provides reliability, just like Molina, like I said a couple of minutes ago. And that's what would make Ayala win the battle. I think he's more consistent. Ayala has been playing as Tigre center back for many, many years already, consecutive years. And we saw today that Salcedo can play as a left, play on the left side as a central defense, something that he has done commonly with Eintracht Frankfurt. Of course, now that Eintracht Frankfurt will switch managers, I don't know exactly where Salcedo might fit in with the starting 11 starting next season. But luckily now, at least we know that Salcedo will stay in Germany. Wolves weren't helping with their boring style of play. Who goes? Ayala, is there injury updates? I think the updates will develop a little bit once they're back in Mexico preparing for the Scotland game. I think that's where we'll know if Guardado will have minutes, if Reyes will play as well. But I think it's good to see, for example, Giovanni get some minutes tonight. But as you know, as you've been reading me, I mean, I don't see Giovanni as an important asset to this team. And I think that was practically proven by how this game shaped out. Of course, the result was 0-0. So it doesn't entirely say that, Giovanni wasn't needed, but what Tegatito did in the first half, I mean, was way, way better to what Giovanni was able to do in the last 20 minutes. Of course, the team changed. There was a lot of substitutions and whatnot, but big game for Giovanni and against Scotland and Estadio Azteca coming up. Can you see Osorio says, can you see Osorio having Chicharito, Vela, Chucky, and Tegatito all on the field? I think it's possible. We saw Osorio do something similar in Columbus. I mean, Vela, Chicharo, and Tegatito were in the 11, but Chucky came off the bench. It might switch a little bit, depending on what he has available. I feel that having Chucky or Tegatito coming off the bench gives El Tri another dimension when it comes to sort of deciding who you want to see in the second half, to sort of play against the opponent. Antonio Rojas says, thoughts on Molina, DM, I thought Edson played better than him. I would start Edson with Herrera and Guardado against Germany. Antonio goes straight forward. I mean, he goes with Edson as a starter. I think, I feel that Edson has capabilities as an excellent central defensive midfielder. I just don't know if it's prudent enough to put him in the starting 11 against Germany. But it's something that might happen. I mean, I think we have still 2 friendlies to go. I think the Denmark friendly is going to be the most important one of the 3, where I think you do want to see some, of course, goals, something that you didn't see today. But I think what was positive today was the structure. And I think the structure should build on consistency with different names added to it. See Lozano, see Guardado in that structure. And the structure will solidify. Of course, the back line, I think, is still an issue because we don't really know who's going to be the right back, who's going to be the left back. Because Gallardo is a good, what Gallardo does is basically defensive duties. He doesn't give that much offensively, and that is something to note. It's that kind of case that, sometimes he shines, sometimes he doesn't, but for the most part, Gallardo is just there to do those small roles in the defense that are really not worthwhile. But at the end of the day, it's a list of that Osorio has that it's technically what is. It's a lot of center backs and not that much fullbacks. It's a list without fullbacks. Only natural fullback is Layun. But Molina, I think, as I said, Antonio, in the beginning of this one, is a reliability, and Molina will be. I think Molina is definitely in the final list. That's my opinion. I don't know if anything might turn wrong, but I think based on what we've seen so far and what we've seen in the process, I think Molina will be in the final list. Enrique says, will Gio be cut, and how far do you see Mexico making it this time around? Obviously, I remain optimistic, but competition will be stiff. It's difficult to say how far Mexico will make it. I mean, when you look at the possibilities and the combinations of things, it does look like it's going to be another round of 16 exit. Of course, you don't want to be that pessimistic about it, but you be against Brazil, that it's technically one of the favorites to go in the World Cup. It's going to be a tough challenge for El Tri. Now, no one knows exactly. A series of combinations that we don't foresee at the moment might happen in the World Cup, which would technically change the panorama of things. I think the symptoms that Mexico shows in the game against Germany will be important. I was talking to friends a couple of weeks ago in Mexico. I mean, Mexico doesn't regularly open against a team so strong like Germany. In 2010 it was South Africa. I know South Africa was the host city, the host country, but South Africa is not Germany. In 2014 it was Cameroon. So it's not teams that require you to start the World Cup at the high, and with Germany you have to sort of play at a top level in order to get a decent result. Not just about winning. It's actually a decent result would be a draw against Germany. So we'll see. I mean, it's still too early. With Gio, if he's going to get cut, I mean, that's a strong possibility in my opinion. Especially, for example, when you look at the roles and you see, okay, technically Giovanni could potentially play as a backup for Guardado. If you really want to take a backup for Guardado that can guarantee you, one, that he's lefty, and two, that he can open the play, I think it's Gutierrez way ahead of Giovanni. And I think we saw a little bit of that in this game. I mean, I think the vision was there from Guti. The 1-2 pass, I think, was there as well. The security with the ball, I think, was also there. So I think, in my opinion, I don't see Giovanni as a reliable backup to almost any player. I think there's enough backups in this list already that might give the opportunity to Osorio to take, I don't know, strengthen another area of the of the field. I don't know if it's another good defender or whatnot, but based on my opinion, I mean, I think that there is legitimate reasons to say that Giovanni will not be in the final list. Churro, Mexico played great structurally, just too many mistakes in my opinion, too many misguided passes, interceptions, etc. The defense looks stronger. Yeah, I mean, the passes, it should work. I mean, I think, and it also happens with the fact of I did see more fluidity of the pass with Edson as defensive midfielder than Molina. I think that is something to note. And of course, we don't have the stats right now with us, but I think it will prove them. Jesus Corona's goalkeeper, I like them, says IBN 10, IBN B10. No, I think Corona's always a safe pick, but I think Ochoa will be the starter in the World Cup. I think he'll have the minutes there with in the World Cup, and we'll see. But Talavera and Corona are also players that are going to give you, goalkeepers are going to give you reliability in goal. Anker says, I think it was good to play well. Their style will give insight to what Sweden might put for even South Korea to point. Yeah, I agree. Do you think Corona can get minutes at a World Cup, or is it Ochoa all the way? Says Ralph. Like I said, I think Ochoa is all the way unless something strange happens. I don't know, but I think Ochoa will start those 3 games, and then we'll see after that. So, but definitely. So I think we're going to close this out in a couple of seconds. If you have any other questions or thoughts about the game, share them here. But real quick, we'll do more of these videos here on YouTube to chat a little bit more about what's going on with El Tri in the World Cup. And then, as you saw at the beginning of this, or the link, I put Resortera Wave. Resortera Wave is a project that I'm doing with podcasting and whatnot. And then that one, we'll be doing podcasts in Spanish, analyzing El Tri and the World Cup and before and after. I think that's where we're going to be putting a lot of that info in Espanol to enter a little bit that world of analyzing the game in Spanish. But as good as Mexico Nations is not on today, I think says Now we'll try to do. I mean, the family over there at Food Next Nation will also have good content. The countdown to Russia is also good, especially now that the World Cup is literally days away. But my project is the Resortera Wave, and there, I'll do these videos more often, I guess, to chat with y'all, because I think the interaction is always great for us that share thoughts about the game. But really, I haven't been looking really what's been going on in the rest of the of the of the media, on the reaction. But there was a lot of jokes about the game being boring and whatnot. A preparation game before the World Cup is not boring. I mean, I think there's always a chance to see some type of development going on. And I think today, Edson Alvarez, Guti, did their part. I think they did their part. Now it's time for Osorio to decide exactly what he wants to do and who he wants to leave out. But definitely a lot of storylines are ahead of us. Unfortunately, over here in Houston, the Rockets couldn't defeat the Warriors, so it wasn't a completely amazing evening. But as I said on Twitter, I mean, they did miss CP3. So make sure to tune in to the podcast over there en Resortera Way, que será en español, donde estaremos analizando cada partido de la selección con a good friend of mine, Jose Miguel Ávila, a good friend of mine that, from Mexico City. So we'll be doing that in the next upcoming weeks, and for now, we'll be doing this more often. It's good to share the thoughts on the game, and to ever join this chat and ask questions or thoughts, I really appreciate it. So it makes me want to do this more often. So let's see here, Churro. I feel a bit optimistic against Germany. I think we weren't prepared for Germany in the conflicts. As I said, I have Mexico playing the first game, Churro. Are you keeping up on Mexico's rivals leading up to the World Cup? I think I have to. I mean, I didn't see Korea against Honduras. I should have seen that one, but I couldn't. So we'll see exactly. I'm also really paying close attention to the team over there in Tulum with Mexico's Youth 21. Great team. A lot of talented players there. Jonathan Gonzalez, Cesar Montes. They play against England tomorrow morning, if I'm not mistaken. So if you have a chance to see that, I think it will be a great watch. See how Cesar Montes does. I'm intrigued if he's going to put if Chima Ruiz is going to put the same 11 as he did in the first game, or if he's going to change things up. I think someone like Godinez could start tomorrow against England. So, make sure to watch that one. It's really interesting. I think the future is bright for El Tri. So, with Diego Lainez too, and all the other players that will be coming up, I think it's great times for Mexico's national team. Definitely, I think Mexico's Youth 21 side, if they get a result against England tomorrow, they'll be serious contenders to win the tournament again. A tournament they won in 2012. And of course, as we know, that team went on to win the gold medal in London. So from Houston, Texas, good night, buenas noches. Se cuidan. Have a great week.